एतावानस्य महिमा अथोज्यायागश्च पूरुषः पादोऽस्य विश्वभूतानि त्रिपादस्यामृतं divi. So last week we saw that the creation itself, when you look at the entire creation, the Vishwa, that itself is an expression of the Purusha's glory. So you don't have to go beyond the world to see Ishvara's glory. You see that that in the morning, sunrise is there, seasons change, and flowers come out, then sun comes out. So number of ways in which you can appreciate Ishvara's glory. So the Purusha Sukta is saying that when you look at the creation itself, then you are seeing Purusha's glory. Then it raises the question, not specifically, but we have to understand that. It raises a question, is Purusha's glory limited to the world only? Because many a time what we think is, whatever we see, whatever we perceive, whatever we observe is final. So is there something more than that? Now it starts answering, when we exhaustively examine the Vishwa, that means what is the scientist doing? The scientist is trying to understand in its entirety everything that can be subjected to an instrument. So either an instrument which is actually a mechanical instrument or the instrument of mind. Then when you are observing the world, when you are studying the world, the scientist is now looking at the glory of Ishvara. That is why science excites a scientist. But then he is now trying to see the very limit of it. So for example, he will look into the skies and then he will say, okay, we have found another star around which some 5 or 7 earths are moving about. So he's so excited. And then he says, look at the glory of Ishvara. I have not seen this. So like that he goes on, whatever can be observed. So Purusha Sukta raises the question, all right, at some point of time we will have an exhaustive understanding of Purusha. Then can we say, I have understood Purusha completely? Then the answer comes in the next mantra, Etavanasya Mahima. Yes, the entire universe is Asya, of this Purushasya, Paramapurushasya Mahima. Mahima means what? Guna Vishesha. Guna Vishesha means that of extraordinary eminence of Purusha, Etavan. It is of such an amazing quality. Isn't it? Whenever you look at the world, the way in which the universe is conducting itself, and the way in which it has got a law, it follows a cosmic law called Rita, then you will say, oh my God. There's no other word is possible. Oh my God. And then Etavanasya Mahima. This is the glory of this Purusha. But the Upanishad, it is an Upanishad, the Purusha Sukta is now saying Ataha. Ataha means therefore, is one of the meanings. Ataha means moreover. Ataha means not only this. Purushaha, this Purushaha is Jayamscha of all the creation, including the mortals and the immortals. Immortals in the sense of Devatas. But Devatas, you please note that they are also mortal. Because at the time of Mahapralaya, even Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara also will perish. So, but they are immortal relatively. So, all of these is not the limit of the Mahima. So, even beyond this, Etavan Asya Mahima. Asya Mahima, this Purusha's Mahima, Etavan, is so wonderful that it is not limited to the world, the Vishwa you can see. It is not limited to the total eminence of all the living beings, nor is it equal to the total eminence of all gods either. It is even jayamscha. It is even more. And then how much more? If we were to create a scale, because we are very fond of creating a scale as a measure. So what is this scale? This is Vishwa Bhutani Asya Padaha. So far, whatever we have discussed is only 1/4 of this. That means all the creation. Vishwa Bhutani. So what are Bhutani? Those who are subject to Srishti Sthiti Laya. So everything that is subject to Srishti Sthiti Laya are only a small portion of the Mahima of Etavan. Of this person's Mahima, it is only a 1/4. Asya Tripat, the other 3/4, Amritam, is in the total immortality. So earlier also we said that Purusha is beyond the mortals and immortals in context of the Devatas. Here again it is saying immortal. Is there a difference between the two ideas of immortality? Here the idea of immortality is Abrahma Pipilikanta, that is starting from Chaturmukha Brahma himself to the smallest of the insect. All immortality is relative, whereas immortality of Asya Purusha, of this Purusha, is absolute. And that absolute is, where is that? Divi. Etavanasya mahima atojyayagascha Purusha. Then where is he? He is in Divi. Divi means in the shining realm. In the shining realm means a realm which is not limited even by the Mahapralaya. The total substrate of everything, that is where the 3/4, it is not 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4, but it is again, all this is infinite. In that he is there. So now the question is the Purusha Sukta trying to divide it into 4 parts? So please do not misunderstand that we are trying to do an MRI. Making a slicing of this Purusha and say this is 1/4, this is 1/4, this is 1/4. It's not a spatial segmentation. Nor should you understand this quarter, this 4 quarters as, or even 1/4, that is the 1 pada, as the charachara prapancha subject to Shadvikara. This also you should not misunderstand. What is the limit of all the movable and immovable prapancha? Immovable and movable prapancha are subject to Shadvikara. But even that 1 pada of this Purusha is not subject to Shadvikara, whereas the Vishwa is subject to Shadvikara. So that means whether you study the Purusha either as a part or as a whole, it does not affect its immensity or its infinitude. This also is like Purnamada Purnamidam. You take away 1/4 doesn't mean it is still full. It is still immortal. So, and then again, that means conversely you should also not misunderstand that the other 3/4 is not subject to Shadvikara, or it is free from destruction, because the question of destruction comes only when there was a new existence. What can be destroyed? Whatever is created. So since this Purusha is not created, there is no question of destruction either. So then how should we interpret this mantra? Look at the challenge of Purusha Sukta is a very difficult text to interpret. So how would you interpret this mantra now? What is known and what is knowable is very little. How? Big etavanasya mahima. What is known and what is knowable of this Purusha is very little, because this Purusha's mahima is so glorious that it is not possible for anybody, either individually or collectively to fathom. So then, in other words, his Mahima is greater than whatever we can think. All right. What is the technique that this Upanishad is, this Purusha Sukta is trying to use? There is a methodology that is used in all Shastra studies. The methodology is everything that is taught is a pointer. We will say, Etavanasya Mahima. The glory of the world is his Mahima. But his Mahima is not limited to the glory of the world. So that caveat we include. So the methodology to uses is of 4 kinds. One is called Nama Sanketa. Either it will give it a name. Mahavishnu is the absolute Parabrahman. Nada is absolute Parabrahman. Vibration is absolute Parabrahman. So we may use those things. That is called as a Nama Sanketa. Or we will give a form. How is this Purusha? This Purusha is Sahasrashirsha Purusha. He is of 1,000 heads. He has got 1,000 eyes, Sahasraksha. 1,000 feet, Sahasrapat. So as I mentioned last week, you can even create an icon out of it. So, but this is called as a Rupa Sanketa. So you use either Nama Sanketa or you use Rupa Sanketa. Then what is the third technique you can use? You can say, look at this creation, Etavanasya Mahima. When you look at the beauty of the creation, then you can see the glory of Ishvara. So beauty of the creation is done by this creator through the act of creating. So the act of creating is called Karma Sanketa. So you can also know somebody's glory by the work they have done. You might not have even seen the person, you might have not know the name of the person, but you can say that looking at the work, you can say, oh, this is the work of Newton. We don't know who Newton is. That name is just an anecdotal name. That's all, isn't it? We have not seen him. Rupa is not known. Nama is anecdotal. We know him only by karma. Therefore, you know Ishvara's glory by karma. So, Karma Sanketa. But then later on, we are also going to see there was an original primordial yajna in which they dismembered this Purusha, and then so many things happened. It is called as Katha Sanketa. So you just create a story, and using that story, you say that each part of this is also infinite. So Nama Sanketa, Rupa Sanketa, Karma Sanketa, and Katha Sanketa, all these 4 techniques used by the Shastra is employed in these just 2 mantras. So that's the depth of the Purusha Sukta. So therefore, let us look at these 4 are reason for making us go beyond the ordinary realm of intellectual understanding. So going beyond means what? You go beyond everyday intellectual understanding so that you can have a mystic experience. So mystic experience is the goal of dhyana. You should be able to visualize the anantatvam of this Purusha. You may not be able to talk about it, but you must be able to experience it. Therefore, these Sanketas are employed by the scripture. And that is why they used very carefully the word Mahima. So Mahima comes from the Sanskrit word Mahat. Mahat, the meaning of Mahat means beyond limit. The actual meaning of the word Mahat is beyond limit. So when we say that the first in the very beginning of the creation, the Mahat came out means that which came out is beyond limit. So then this Mahat or Mahima, it points to Shreshtata. Shreshtata means something that is very exalted. It points to Shakti, that is, it points to power, to Kirti. bhavyata, grandeur, and swabhava, prabhava, that means an influential power. So Mahat represents 5 qualities: Shrestthata, Shakti, Kirti, Bhavyata, and Prabhava. Etavanasya Mahima. One who can show all these 5 extraordinary qualities even in a small sample of the world you see. Even in the smallest sample, one cell, you will be able to see this Mahat, this Bhavyata, etc. And this Mahima, from where did this Purusha get? Is it dependent on something else? For that, Etavan Asya Mahima, Asya, this Purusha's Mahima, the emphasis on Asya, what it suggests is, it is his own intrinsic power. Otherwise, the scripture would have said he got this power from somewhere else. Whereas we say that we get all the power because of Ishvara. When we say Ishvara is in Fruddesha, that means we get everything because of him. But for him, who is what is the source means, the word Asya emphasizes that it is Swakiyas Samarthyam. It is his own Samarthya. It's not something derived from anywhere else. Therefore, we can use the word Mahima. This word Mahima cannot be used for any other entity. And then, so what does this Mahima also mean when it is Swakiya Samarthya? Jayamscha. Jayamscha means of all the rest. It is better than of all the rest. If it is more powerful of all the rest, no being in all the 14 lokas is able to fathom his eminence. Nothing short of being in awe of Etavanasya Mahima, and then limited, whatever is the limit of our mind, to that extent we have got to understand, and to point us, it is giving the Sanketa. Take this clue and then now go meditate. So thus Mahima indicates that Purusha's Vibhuti. Vibhuti consists of a special power. It's called Vishishtam. It is Asadharanam. It is extraordinary ability, Samarthyam. Vibhuti means Vishishta Asadharana Samarthyam. And Vistara, it's not only this Asadharana Samarthya just as a potentiality, but also as an expression which is expansive. It is full of value. So one of the commentaries writes it as Phalabharitam. It is full of value. And then this Vibhuti indicates the Samarthya, whereas Vistara indicates total independence. That means he is Swatantriyam. That's why I said he does not derive, his power is not derived from anywhere else. So if you think that this Purusha's Mahima is mind-boggling, isn't it? Then the word Ataha is saying it is more than all that you have been talking about. It is Vibhuti Vistara Mahima actually points to us that all your study is only pointing to an amsha of this Purusha, and therefore Padosya Vishwabhutani. Only 1/4 is Vishwabhutani. So whatever you are able to understand to the limit of human understanding, it is only an element, an amsha you can understand, that is all. That means you can only know a trace of Purusha's Swaswarupa, but it is not a hopeless case, because Nama, Rupatmaka, Vyakta, that is whatever is seen, Drishta Prapancha, the world that is seen, with its Vaibhava, all of these points to the Avyakta Mahima of the Purusha. the Vyakta Mahima, that is the Mahima that is seen, that is observed, that is palpable in the world. That is Nama Rupa Drishta Prapancha. And all of this has got Vaibhava, it has got a glory. All this glory which you have seen is pointing to a Avyakta Mahima, and therefore next question is, why am I studying all these things? What's the purpose? Why should I do all these things? Your contemplation on the Asya Mahima is a precondition, it is actually a preparation for you to understand the infinite. Now, why should I understand the infinite? The only way by which I can overcome fear and I can overcome the sense of limitation. For that, you have to contemplate on the unlimited. To contemplate upon the unlimited, you have got to observe the limited. And therefore, all this we have done, Sahasrasesha Purushaha, Sahasrakshaha, Etavanasya Mahima, Atojjayagasya Purushaha, all of these contemplations are a preparation, Purva Siddhata, for the sake of our attaining the highest meditation. And therefore, pointing out to say that, all right, all the limit of thoughts you have done is Padosya Vishwabhutani. All this is only 1/4. Tripat Asya Amritan Divi. Then we must also see why the sage has used the word Pada. There is a purpose for that. Because Pada comes from Padyate Gamyate Anena iti Pada. Pada means that which will, with whose help you move. That with whose help you chalanashila, that is you move. And Gamana also means knowledge. That with which you know. In other words, Padosya Vishwabhutani, your study of the Vishwa and the Bhutas is a tool for your movement of the mind. It is the first step in the pursuit of Jnana. We'll continue in the next class. Let's do the Shanti Mantra.